Hey everybody, Newbie Crafter 88 here. Alright, so I've already started doing this. I've taken cardboard, painted it black with spray paint, and then I hot glued a part of a cold coffee creamer container onto the cardboard. And now I'm just taking the Crayola air dry clay and making a little Halloween house. If this is the first video you're seeing, hey and welcome. I hope you enjoy my crafting. If this is not your first video, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. So I actually, when I first started this, I actually tried to roll it out on a silicone mat, and it stuck like really bad. So just a heads up, I would not advise doing that unless you have something to make it not stick. Alright, and it doesn't matter if it looks a little messed up because I'm actually making it into a spooky Halloween tree. It's going to kind of look like a tree stump, sort of, kind of. But we're going to try to put in some spooky eyes on and stuff. Alright. So now I just want to take pieces and kind of roll them out like this. And they don't have to be perfect. I do want the tips kind of pointed a little bit, sort of kind of like that. And then I'm just going to run them down right here. And then attach them like this. Use the big ball tool to shove them on in there so that it's not a separate piece necessarily. Because it blends it to it to make it all one piece. And then just use my finger to smooth it all the way out. There we go. Alright. And then I'm just going to take and continue to put a couple more pieces on for the roots. Okay, so I have went around and put a couple tree roots down. And I cut out some eyes. And I took the top of the creamer container. I broke the lid off. And I set that on top. And then covered it with clay. And I'm making it into a pumpkin head. Now I'm working on forming the teeth that is going to go in his mouth for the doorway. So there's one, and I'm just going to continue doing that. Okay, so I have put his teeth in, and I gave him a little bit of a lip so that it makes it stand out more. He's got some eyebrows going, so it's looking kind of neat. It sucks having long nails when you're trying to do this because they get clay all in them, and sometimes it messes up your designs, but sometimes it also helps. So, and all I did was twist this a little bit so it kind of looks like the stem of a pumpkin. And now I'm going to work on a walkway here. We're going to take a piece of cardboard, because when you put clay down on cardboard, a lot of the time it does not stick properly. So I'm just going to take this little random piece, and I'm just going to kind of curl it. Alright, so now that's nice and there we go. That's a little more lifelike. And we're just going to hot glue it right here for the walkway. About there it is. Nice. Alright. So that's going to be his tongue, which we will paint a little bit later. Right now, I really just want to, I've got a little spray bottle, and it's just water. And it just kind of helps to blend this in a little bit. It makes it easier to spread. And it kind of gets some of those odd indentions out. See? Smoothing up kind of nicely. And I just want to go around and do that. Kind of, if I can, go in a downwards motion, because it is supposed to look like a tree. But this just helps to push those pieces in that we don't want protruding out. Alright. Well, I kind of like the way it's turning out. And this also helps it from drying too early while you're in the middle of working, because you might want to add something, or maybe you don't like something you put on. So this just keeps it a little bit more moist so it does not do that. Alright. So now I want to take my ball tool, and I just want to kind of graze it just a little bit and start making lots and lots of lines. They don't have to be perfect. You can do them up and down like this. And it just kind of helps make the texture of the tree into the clay. And then to smooth it out, because there is going to be clay pieces, I'm just going to take the water and do that and wipe it down very gently, because otherwise you're just going to push your clay back in after you just made the lines. So we're just going to sit there and do that all the way around. Alright, so there we go. So I went around and made the little indentions to make it look like a tree, and then I added him a little nose. So I'm going to go ahead and paint his tongue, so that way that can be drying, because we cannot paint until the clay has fully dried. And you do want to make it sit overnight. It's definitely better if you do let it sit overnight. So it needs to fully be dried before you paint anything. So I'm just going to use some Anita's acrylic, and I think I'm going to go with burgundy. Try that out for the tongue, because I don't want it too bright. But alright, so I'm just going to wet my brush a little bit. I'm going to actually start with the burgundy. And just make a little line down the center with the black after I'm done with this. And so once this is dry, I actually am going to put some clay around it to build up the tongue a little around the sides, because I don't want it just plain, but I also want it to look more like a walkway. So Alright, well, we're going to let the burgundy dry for a minute. But he's starting to look pretty neat. Alright, so I let it dry. I put the stripes on, or the stripe on the tongue and a couple dots just to make it look like he's got a poisonous tongue or so. And he's got some deep score marks for the tree. And his teeth and nose and eyes with eyebrows. I gave him a little lip. And next we are going to paint it once it is finished drying.